In this lesson, we're going to look at something called BIDMAS. That's one acronym. You might have heard a similar acronym like BIDMAS, or there's probably other ones out there that I'm not aware of. All of them are just little tools we use to help us remember the order of operations. What we mean by that in maths is an operation is something like adding, subtracting, timesing, dividing, squaring something, anything like that where you're doing some operation on a number. And BIDMAS is one way that we can remember how to do it in the right order, so that whenever we do a problem, we're always going to get the same answer. Now, let's have a look at just practicing with it. Here's a little warm-up you can do where you just have, I've given you 4 numbers, and you can use any of these 3 operations with all of the numbers to eventually end up with -14. I'd suggest pausing the video, and then once you've got an answer, maybe try and find a second one, a different way to do it, and then unpause it and you can see how I would approach this problem. Okay, so what I would do is I would just look at these numbers and go, all right, I want to get to -14. So what I want is I want to be in the negatives, right? So one thing I know is if I times a positive by a negative, I get a negative answer. So if I do 5 times -3, that's going to give me -15, which is pretty close. Now all I've got to do is kind of use my other numbers, and one way I could do that is if I go, well, 9 and -8, they're kind of similar numbers, right? Just one's negative, but they're pretty close if they're both positive. If I do -15 plus 9, I'll end up with -6, right? Head back towards 0. And then if I go and go -6 plus -8, that takes me back to -14. And we've done it. That is one way to do it. There are other ways to do it, but yeah, that way I was just kind of feeling around with the numbers and seeing what you end up with and trying to get close. I would say with this kind of problem, trial and error is pretty good. Just kind of go like, oh, this will get me kind of close, and then see what you can do. And that'll probably work pretty well. Here's another different one if you wanted to have a go at that, but I'll just leave that there. All right. Another thing I would like you to do by pausing the video is this. See how you go doing it. See if you remember how to use BIDMAS or something similar to do order of operations correctly. And then I'm going to do it in a sec. All right. So hopefully you've had a go and have unpaused the video. So with this, the way I think about it is go, all right, I've got to look at the stuff in brackets first. It's always brackets first. That's the B in BIDMAS. So I'm looking at this bit. And then within it, I've got adding and I've got timesing. Now I know that timesing comes before adding, so I've got to do this bit first. So what I'll do is I'll just rewrite it. 1 plus 2, and then in brackets 3 plus, and I'm actually going to do this operation. So I get 20 for that, 4 times 5, and 6. And then I've still got some brackets that I need to get rid of. So I'll do 1 plus 2, and then in brackets actually do this addition. 23, take 6. Next, I've still got these brackets, and see how I've got this number in front of it. You may remember whenever we do that in maths, that there's an implied time sign in here. A little time sign there that we don't bother writing because it actually comes up quite a bit. So we're doing 2 times 23, gives me 46. Take 6. And from there, now all I've got left is addition and subtraction. And so we'll just do it left to right. So 1 plus 46 is 47, take 6, gives me 41. And that's my answer. So hopefully when you had a go at it yourself, you got the same thing. But if you didn't, that's okay. Let's see how we can do it systematically and not make mistakes. So BIDMAS is an acronym that tells us what order we should do each operation in. Now, so if you spell it out, it's brackets, then indices. So, you know, we know what brackets are. Indices, they're anything like something to the power. So say 3 squared, 5 to the power 3, 10 to the power 4. That's an index. Also square roots, as it happened, they're also indices. For what we're going to be doing with, we're probably not going to have too many indices shot, maybe some squares. That's about it. Then division and multiplication. Now, in the acronym, division is first, but it doesn't actually matter. If you've got division or multiplication, you can do them left to right, and you'll get the same answer. And then we've got addition and subtraction. Again, as you see in this kind of, what would we call it? It's like a set of blocks on top of each other. addition and subtraction, they're on the same level, so you can do them either order. Now, another way to look at it is this pyramid, and see how we've got here. First, we're dealing with powers, then division or multiplication, then addition or subtraction. Okay, here I've just got another slide of just telling you how it works. So what I would suggest is, if you're fairly new to this, if you're not feeling that confident, I would draw this little diagram in your book and have it as you're working through problems, so you can refer back to it. And it'll just remind you, all right, thing at the top, brackets. Deal with anything inside brackets first, then deal with any powers, then do multiplication and division next. You can work from left to right. And finally, finish up with the addition and subtraction. So let's have a go at some of these examples. And I've got the little thing there for me. All right, so this one, I've got 4 plus 3 times minus 5. So if we look at this thing here, the timesing is coming first, right? Of the operations there, timesing is the one on the top. So we can just leave that 4 in the plus, and then we do the 3 times minus 5. It gives me minus 15. I'm just drawing it in brackets so that I don't get confused with my addition symbol here. Now, if I have an addition symbol followed by a minus sign, it ends up just being minus, doesn't it? It's 4 take 15 would be the same thing as 4 plus minus 5. Minus 15. If I do that, so I'm at 4 and I'm going left on the number line 15. So what? I'd end up at negative 11. Just do a little mental check. Well, 15 is much bigger than 4. So I'm doing 4 take 15. I should end up in the negatives, as I have done. So I'm happy with that. All right, with this second one, I might just rewrite it because not much space there, is there? So we got minus 5, take 2 in brackets, times by another set of brackets with negative 6 plus 3. All right. So then on the next line, I got an equal sign. So we do the brackets first. What I could do is go, right, minus 5, take 2. That's minus 7. These brackets aren't necessarily necessary, but I just, like to put it in just to see that, oh yeah, that minus lives with that 7. Then we've got another set of brackets, and we can actually, if you're feeling all right about it, rather than rewriting it, just do it again. We're going to deal with those brackets next anyway. So negative 6 plus 3, that brings me to minus 3. And yeah, I can forget about any of these brackets now. I've just got some timesing to do. So I've got negative 7 times negative 3. Got the same sign. If you've got the same sign, you always end up with a positive, and 7 times 3 is 21. So that's our answer. All right, final one, 2 times 3 squared divided by 6. So here we actually have an index, one of these guys. So deal with that first. We'll say, so 2 times 3 squared divided by 6. So 3 squared is 9. So write that there. So we just get rid of that squared by squaring 3. 3 times 3 gives 9. Then we can just work left to right. So 2 times 9 is 18. Divided by 6. 18 divided by 6 is 3. Okay. Final example is just kind of working backwards a bit. We've got some missing numbers we need to find. So the way I'd work with this is go, all right, so something divided by 2, and then I plus 5 equals 8. Yeah, so my final answer is 8. I know I've got to do this first, and then I've got to add 5 to it. So this thing has to be 3 in total, right? Because 5 plus 3 is 8. So the missing thing must be 6. Now, missing thing there is 6. And if I do that, 6 on 2 is 3, plus 5 is 8, and it works. Yeah, so just kind of working backwards a bit. Here, so we need to end up at 20. We've got 10 times 6. Why don't we just work out what that is? It is 60. And then we're taking away something divided by 2. We're going to do this separately, right? Before the minusing. So this has to be 40, doesn't it? To make that true. So our question mark here, if this is going to be 40, question mark has to be 80. And then that'll work. Here's a bit of a tricky one. We've got a fraction set up here. And now with fractions, you may not know this, but whenever you've got one of these big fraction lines, they're called vinculums, there's actually implied brackets around them. You got to do the things separately. The numerator and the denominator you're going to have to work them out separately before you actually do the dividing. So 3 plus 2 is 5. I know that this is going to be 5. Now 9 plus something, when I divide it by 5, I get 3. So the thing that I need up here, that whole thing has to be 15, doesn't it? Because 15 divided by 5 gives me 3. And the thing I need to add to 9 to make 15 would be 6. There we go. There is our answer. So that is BIDMAS. Just to sum up, I would suggest if you're feeling a bit unconfident with dealing with these things, have something like this slide in front of you or this little symbol, this little diagram to help you, and just work through it step by step. If you want to take more lines than I did to do some of these, like say, for example, up here, I kind of did 2 steps at once in this line. If you want to do it in more steps, that's fine. If it takes you a bit longer, that's okay. All right, I hope that was helpful. See you next time.